Hello. So now we're going to do the weekly forecast. My name's Vicki Haspels. I'm conscious mystic. I forgot who I was. So we're doing the weekly guidance for week commencing January 10th, 2022. I will be pulling some cards from my deck, the Mythic Tarot, and I will be pulling 6 cards. And we are going to build a picture about what the coming week is going to be like. So, and I'll be giving you an interpretation of those cards and also some guidance around what that can mean for us. So even though it can be quite general, we can actually if we're in tune with it and it makes sense to us, then we can actually help ourselves by being prepared for what's coming up and saying, well, okay, that feels about right about how that is. We feel, I guess, a lot safer, and we don't have to think so much about what's coming up or what's going on. We can think, oh yeah, that's just a phase. That's what I love about the tarot. Just gives you a bit of guidance about what's happening. So I'm doing my shuffle. I'm going to choose 6 cards, and I'll explain them as we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you are watching me on my Facebook page, Vicki Haspels, you can go there. There are some deals there at the moment. $33 for half an hour. My birthday week and my birthday 9 days. If you want to come and have a session with me, there's still some of those available. Limited appointments available. But go and have a look. So anyway, let's begin. So this, again, as I said, the weekly guidance or the weekly forecast for week commencing January 10th, 2022. All right. So I don't even know what's being pulled. So it's going to be a surprise for me. As always, it's always a surprise. So this is the first card we're looking at. It's where we're at. What is this? The energy that's around us. And this will be energy that we're going, oh, yeah. We'll feel it and we'll know it. And so it's by understanding that it's around us, we can be a bit more accepting about how things are. So we've got this card here. She's popped up a lot tonight. If you were watching my earlier show on Spiritual Events Directory on my Vicki Haspels Facebook page, you'll see that Ace of Swords actually popped up quite a lot. So for us, moving forward this week, we will feel that our minds are much clearer. Our thoughts will be much more ordered, which, thank goodness, is all I can say for that one, is that where things were a little bit sort of hazy or not really sure about should or not. Any decision that we have to make is going to be so easy because the Ace of Swords is actually working with us to think, oh, yes, that's exactly how I want to be. And it's not about following our feelings. It's about it makes perfect sense. It makes logical, rational sense. So that means our mind is clear from any extra, even external sort of chatter. And when it does pop in, even inspiration will pop in and we'll go, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. And there'll be no hesitation about moving forward into it. All right, so the next card I'm going to show you is how our soul or our guidance, if we want to call it our higher self guides, our higher self, our soul, whatever you want to get, universal energy that helps move through and gives us extra boosting or extra information. That often comes through on a subconscious level. And so this is our subconscious self that's actually working with us. And this is the thing that we don't always recognize. So these are the things that happen and going, what was that about? What's that message? What all those numbers meaning? So that's what this energy is all about. And we have this card here. So the fact that because we've got the Ace of Swords sitting in our conscious selves and the Four of Swords sitting in our subconscious, that means that any decision we're going to make will be well considered. The Four of Swords helps us sit still for a moment and consider the next step and the next step. So instead of going, it's not going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to do that, jump into it. I'm going to go, yes, that's exactly how I'm going to do. And I actually know that that's how I want to do because I'm going to consider every step. As it becomes clear, as inspiration drops in, we will consider every step. Because our guidance for our soul is going to probably slow things up. There's not going to be a big leap or a big jump, but it's going to be well considered. All right, so the next card we're looking at is a challenge, or sometimes fear will pop up, especially like we want to do that. We know that it's our minds are going to be clear. We're going to be very determined or deliberate about our actions. We're going to be very considered about how we move into it because our guidance or our soul probably slow things down a little bit. That's what the Four of Swords is all about. Very considered decision-making process. So now we're going to look at, I suppose, a little bit of the fear that can be around from those cards. So Two of Wands. So the as I said to you before about the Four of Swords is about really slowing things down, and every step will be very considered. The Two of Wands, the Two of Wands is very much not a leaping in, but it's a very courageous card. So that considered pace, that sort of slow pace, or that very considered thinking about things, the Two of Wands is means that it's like that trajectory is almost a given. So we are moving into those things. It's going to be so clear. We're taking our time and making very considered decisions. But it's because it's happening so like it's not going to be happening fast, but it's just moving forward. When all of a sudden, where things perhaps have been a little bit slow or unclear, all of a sudden it's like, okay, so a little bit of fear around. We're coming out of that I suppose, a little bit of a cave. I suppose if you have a look here, we're coming out of that cave and we're stepping out into the bright world. So as much as it feels clear, and it makes sense to us, and our rational mind says, that's exactly where I want to be. The Two of Wands is our motivation, and so that sort of energy or that surge that comes with it as well. It's like, okay, I've been so safe and so sort of under the doona, I suppose, for such a length of time, and now it's all happening. Is this really where I want to be? But again, don't forget that because the Ace of Swords is working with us, it will actually all make sense to us. So all we're doing is we'll just be the fear that all the challenge around it is like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? We'll be fine. So how are we going to behave? How are we going to react? That's this card here. Page of Wands. So the Page of Wands is very much a scattered card. I really feel, looking at this card here, and especially with this card sitting here, even though these cards are very considered and this decision-making process, and we're going to be making those very considered decisions, expect still that little wobbliness going, like we might still be doing figure eights to actually get there. However, the Ace of Swords is still going to keep us on track, so don't worry too much that we're off track, or that maybe that's why this card is coming and it's going to throw us off a little bit. The Ace of Swords will keep us on the straight and narrow, but the Page of Swords is going to feel like we're wobbly all over the place. We will behave in a little bit of a weird way. We might do some figure eights, but we're still heading in a straight path, so don't worry too much. The Page of Wands also too is a very deliberate discomfort card. So as the Page of Wands, as we're behaving in Page of Wands energy, it also helps not get too distracted by minute details. It means that it's going to keep us off that. We have to work everything out before we take that next step. The clarity of the next step and the next step is going to be right there, but we're going to stop trying to work out every single little detail before we get there. It's going to offset that, but also it's going to keep our motivation high as well. Alrighty, so future, where are we heading? Another Swords card. I love this. Knight of Swords energy to me is that we're leaping into the next phase. That means that where things have been stuck, it's not even having to break through. We're actually leaping over to get into the next. We don't have to break through anything. It's a clear jump over that hurdle, over that barrier. It's not even a barrier anymore. It's actually just something that we're just going to be on the other side of. We don't have to do any work. We don't have to do any thinking about it. It's just all going to be clear, straight over, no hurdles, no nothing to break down, no brick walls, no nothing. So, and of course, the Knight of Swords, again, just brings clarity, brings quick decision making, brings like a real determination that this is exactly the direction that we want to head in, and we have such confidence, I guess, in where we're heading. Also, too, because it's night energy, it also stops us from, as again, being too considerate about everything. Even though the Four of Swords is sitting there to help us take out, to consider every step. The Knight of Swords is the energy that we're stepping into, but which means we have more confidence in our decision-making process. We'll be ready to make more chances because everything is clear. And all those steps that we have preceding the Knight of Swords energy turning up means that we are very considered and very sure about our path. I love it. To me, it's not like a lovey-dovey, oh, everything's wonderful sort of thing. It's very determined. This is how things are now moving forward. This is how I'm choosing to do it. I'm following my direction. It is about following your path or your feelings, but it's with such certainty that your mind cannot even interfere anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Don't even think about it. I'm just going to do that. All right. So what does this mean for our soul? Our karmic journey this week. What is our spirit self or our soul journey or I guess the lesson, if you want to? What is the reason for this week? All this stuff that's going on. It's about clearing those barriers and getting over the other side. So where things have been stuck, we feel like we're sort of maybe hitting our heads against a brick wall, or it feels like we're getting a little bit battered around with life, and it's really, we can see where we'd like to be, but we don't know how to actually get there. This week is helping us clear that part of ourselves that says, you know what, I've done the work. I know exactly where I want to be, and to get that confidence and the faith that we've stuck with it. So our soul self is going to understand that by following or feeling our faith or feeling our certainty in our soul direction, that by sticking with what we know, even though things aren't moving forward in the direction that we know that they can, but we're sitting there with certainty that we've stuck with it, that our reward is that we get to jump over that, leap over those rocks or leap over that barrier straight into the smooth waters. And that confidence that we've had in ourselves, that assurance that we've had for ourselves, in ourselves, pays off. And so that, to me, is probably one of the biggest rewards of that heart, soul, spirit connection, is that when we stick with what we know about ourselves, and we know that on a soul level that we are assured, even though all the evidence and even though we might be stuck and whatever, in our soul we know that we're in exactly the right place. When things do start moving forward, that strengthens that spirit and mind, body, soul connection. It gives us faith. It strengthens our faith that we are following our heart and following our path, because we're sticking to our guns, I guess. We're not being, like, it's not about being stubborn or pig-headed or anything like that. It's just that we know this is where we're going to go. We're going to wait until opportunities turn up, and we're not going to be we're courageous or brave enough to stick with it until those things open up and make their way to, make themselves known for us. We're not going to run away, and we're, as I said, we're courageous enough, and we're soul-filled enough to know that this is exactly where we're meant to be, and we stick with it. So that's our reward. Anyway, that's the week ahead. I love it. I love the clarity, to be honest. I love that my mind is, I think I can already start feeling that anyway, but there'll be a clear direction about what the next step is, and it'll be very considered. And the only thing we have to deal with is like, oh God, this is actually happening. What? That connection to our soul is going to make all the difference, and will strengthen that connection to our spirit self. Anyway, that's the week ahead. Much love to you. That's for week commencing January the 10th, 2022. My name is Vicki Haspels, a Conscious Mystic, and I'll catch you next week with a weekly forecast. Okay, bye.